Hi, I'm Natalie,
I'm Candice.
And I'm Danny.
and we are following Soulspiration, both by name and in our actions. The three of us started this podcast as a way to honour and record our quest to our ultimate goal, embodiment of self. We share our conversations, we share our evolution, and we share the journey and process to find the capital T truth of who we are. So much in life is about the destination. What even is that destination anyway? Success, happiness, fulfillment? Or can it be quantified by the marriage or the family or the job? For each of us, that destination might look different, and we've realized the importance of being present and honoring the now and finding the magic in the process in our exploration of what this really looks like to us. We don't know where this is taking us. What we do know is that since the three of us came together and created this space, transformation is both inevitable and powerful. We have one rule: follow the fun. We're doing what speaks to our soul, not what we feel we should be doing. Follow us to watch our transformation unfold, learn from our lessons, and hopefully find your own soulspiration in the process. In today's episode, we talk about what brought us together and what we want from this process in order to be the most authentic version of ourselves and live in alignment with our soul.
It is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. And this chaos 5 years from now can be like behind the scenes of day one.
I know. I think it's appropriate to just start with us laughing because, like, the whole point, right, is how much fun, what's the most fun we can have together? And then let's try to just capture it, right? And as it happens and in the moment, in flow.
Shall I start, guys? Because
Yes, I
what
would
I
like to
do-
start. Thank you, Natalie.
You're welcome. So what I did was, before we came on, I pulled as a card, and the one that came out instantly was family. And I was like, of course, it's family. And then I read about it, and I'll read you what it says, but there's only one bit that resonated. Your soul desires only to joyfully serve and to swim in a constant stream of bliss. Hell yeah. This stream continuously feeds you everything you need. Put your entire focus upon staying in this stream of giving and receiving in every situation and in all. Oh, no, this is a different card. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Reading the wrong thing.
Really beautiful, though. I was almost.
Yeah, this was the second card.
The stream feeds you.
Who came out? The second card was focus on service, which was this one. So it was beautiful. And all that you do, this card comes to you because you've been worried about your life's mission. And I know that we've been worried about, like, what this mission is. Perhaps you felt insecure about whether you'll make enough money, be successful, or be well received by others. Instead of concerns about what you'll receive or other people's reactions, focus solely upon how you can serve. Use your natural talents and passions and interests to help others or some vital cause. Then, through law of attraction, you'll receive all of the support you need.
Wow.
So that was the other card. So yeah, the family one was just like basically that you are family, and I was like, yep, yeah, we are. And then we have focus on service. Oh yay! How perfect is that one in terms of what we're trying to get out of this?
That couldn't be any more perfect.
Yeah, that is perfect. And I noticed myself, I'm like raising the roof, and I can't say that anymore because my kids say it isn't cool anymore. It was cool like 10 years ago.
It'll come back.
That's okay. We're old.
For audio, I'm going to have to like actually say, like it's just a different experience. But yes. And of course you pulled a card, and of course you knew to do that. And that was perfect. And even when you're reading the wrong freaking card, it's so right off. Oh, I'm reading the wrong card. I know I just said the perfect sentence, but I'm reading the wrong card. There's no such thing as wrong. Like it just shows you, like, we can't fuck this up. We can't fuck it up even when we try. We just can't, because it's so perfect.
We've tried really hard to fuck it up, haven't we, over the past 2 weeks? We're doing a really good job at trying.
What time is it again?
Okay, let's go through and introduce ourselves and tell a little bit about ourselves. Natalie, do you want to get it started because you got started with the card, or Candice, you want to start?
I'll go and be done. Okay, so I'm Natalie. I started working with Danny, how long ago? Maybe 6 months ago, and started this quest of self-development and really investing in myself and my thoughts and my feelings, and just trying to live the most fulfilled or happy life I can. And I found that in our sessions we came across some like really profound learnings that we just felt were supposed to be shared with the world. But so we started thinking about doing something, and we thought maybe a podcast, which was so strange because neither of us actually listen to podcasts. So our hope is that someone might listen to this one.
If there's just one person out there,
it will find that person who needs us. So yeah, we thought about doing this, but it kind of wasn't happening for whatever reason. And we all know that everything's working perfectly, which I feel is Danny's motto. Everything's working perfectly. And so we then had this light bulb ting that Candace was supposed to be part of it. And so since then, we've now decided to embark on this quest.
Okay, that's awesome. Talk a little bit about your intuitive gifts and how you use them, and how you discovered that you had them, and let's go ahead and go there and do a little bit of that.
Okay, so but the ladies will laugh because I'm not hugely confident in my intuitive gifts. They keep claiming that I have it, and I know I have something, but I just haven't quite understood it yet. So I guess that's part of this process too. But basically, I have always like really felt things. So like from when I was a kid and everything, I feel things physically. So people's emotions, or and I've been able to read people really easily. So I can just get a sense of who someone is very, very quickly. And I've never really thought anything about that. And then I just thought that's what everyone can do. And then recently, kind of having started my business a couple of years ago, I've found that when I work with people, I really can get in tune with who they are, what they're wanting to get out of their business, where their business is, and what's kind of off, and help people to connect with what it is they actually want to do, help people find a way of doing it in a way that feels aligned with them and what they want to get out of it. And so really, I use my intuitive side in business, but like I don't really market it. And I think this is one of the things that this process is as well, is kind of like stepping into who we really are. Because, you know, to say, oh, I can read your business, like sounds completely ridiculous, but I sort of
only
can.
to some people.
Well, yeah, only to some people, exactly. And I think I came from corporate, and I came from this world where that stuff doesn't really get involved. And so I kind of started my business very corporate, and now I'm starting to realize I don't have to be that person. I can actually just 100% be me. And I know that my client, like, I'll attract the right people. And that's how I found it, is like through business. I haven't needed to, touch wood so far, market anything, like, because the people who need my stuff just find me. And so I think you can market in a way. You don't have to be the person who's doing the Facebook ads or doing the podcast or doing the, you know, all this stuff out there to get the right people. You can actually do the stuff that feels good. Facebook lives don't feel good to me. I don't want to do it. I haven't posted on my business page for months. I don't do everything I tell everyone else to do. But, you know, I do business my way, and I help people find their way, basically.
I love it so much. Love it so much. And you're also, you know, playing with the pendulum, and you drew the card, and it's hard to believe you just got your cards, and you're really a master at it, like, already. I mean, as somebody who's had a lot of different card readings and stuff, I mean, your cards pulls are amazing, on point all the time.
Thank you.
Hands down. So
For sure.
yeah.
Thank you.
So there's more. And okay, Candace, how about you?
Okay, so I mean, I guess starting out, I'm Candace, and I met these lovely ladies through actually like an entrepreneurial group, and started working with Danny, I'm not sure how long ago, probably 5 months ago or so. And we did some coaching together. And I have to say that working with Danny totally changed my life and my perspective. And she reinforced all of the things that I knew but wasn't implementing in my life. So that's sort of where this relationship started to blossom. And then one day I woke up to messages like, hey, we're starting a podcast. And I said, okay.
It's like, catch up quickly, Candace. Catch up quickly.
And in terms of my gifts, so I've been really intuitive and empathic my entire life, but it wasn't until I was about 19 that I realized that I could tune into people's energy, and I could tune into their aura a little bit and see color and different things. And as I started to explore that some more, I realized that I had a gift for healing. And I mean, I think really everybody does, but it was just an experience with my grandfather, actually, where he essentially couldn't walk. I mean, not on a regular basis, but his back was out and he was unable to really walk. And I did some energy healing on him, and he got up and walked straight with no pain. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So this is something. So wow. ever since then, I've been on this roller coaster of being tuned into that and then being tuned out and getting overwhelmed by that and forgetting about it and then coming back into it. And it's been this constant roller coaster or cycle of in and out. And I think at this point in my life, I'm just ready to be all in, because a lot of that roller coaster was my self-doubt, my insecurity, being self-conscious about what other people would think, not knowing if I could really pursue it 100% in my life and have that support me financially. And so I, sought out other ways of making money, and I built a business for myself. And now I'm realizing that that just isn't fulfilling enough. And so here we are on this journey to stepping into ourselves.
I love your story, Candace. How old were you when you did the thing with Grandpa?
I was about 19 or 20.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So a long time ago now.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm Danny, and met these two, as they described, kind of in our little online community, and singled them both out as just being really extraordinary and wanting to be with them more. And so we made that happen and got together and did some coaching and things, which was awesome. And through the same time, I didn't know anything really about any of this, right? Like, I grew up as a kid who was probably empathic, but decided that in the environment that I grew up in, it was too painful to be empathic. So I made a conscious decision to shut it all down. And so what I became very good at actually was like that thing you do in codependent families and dysfunction, when there's a lot of dysfunction around. And I became the okay, if the boat was all bouncing around, I became the boat stabilizer. So my job was not to have my own feelings, assert anything of my own, but to sense everything that was going on around me and try to stabilize the energy a little bit. And I didn't even realize that that was my job or that's what I was doing until recently, when I've been asking, Spirit, like, I didn't know I had any of these gifts. And I think this is kind of why, is because I just chose to, it was just it would have been too painful to be an empath as a child. So I shut it all down. And I actually, my mom did, though, when I was growing up, there was a lot of, oh, Danny's off in her own little world. I did get a lot of that. And I did have a lot of daydreaming and a lot of detachment, but there was no connection to anything more. And I worked with an energy healer like 10 years ago. who was a powerful, powerful intuitive and energy healer. And I still had no idea. I didn't feel the energy. I knew I felt better after I went to her than before I went. And I could tell I felt clear and lighter and stuff, but had no idea what she was doing or anything. I was still tuned out. In September, I started working with a guide, a mentor who was going to help me develop my spiritual gifts. But I was only going to her for the healing. I was going to her for the energy work and the healing that we were experiencing. And then she started giving homework and stuff. And I was like, whatever, kind of half-assed doing it. And then I started realizing things. Like the first thing was the automatic writing. So I would start writing. I would open myself to spirit, start writing. And, you know, my handwriting would change. I started with the channeling of my father, who passed about 5 years ago. And then he opened it up to grandma, to my other spirit team. And then I was doing free writing and everything. And then I didn't realize some of what I was free writing was poetry. Like I was like, all this shit happens. I'm oblivious to most of it. Most of it is happening like with spirit, and my conscious mind is like oblivious. And the best thing that I ever can do is get out of my own way.
And just
right there.
Just to clarify, I mean, this whole process, I mean, it's been a long process of you learning, but realizing that you had these gifts and opening up to these gifts has only been what, the last 4 or 5 months?
Oh yeah, well, when I started in September, I was like, she's my healer. And then it wasn't until probably January or so that I started the free writing and the channeling that way, getting in touch with my dad and stuff like that. So since then, I've started reaching out to, like, for these guys, like loved ones who passed over, like I lovingly say, like I've started talking to dead people. And I did my first reading for someone I don't know on Wednesday, which was really amazing. So now I'm just like these two, I'm trying to kind of figure out how this all works, how this changes, like what is my work here? How am I meant to serve? All of that, and kind of figuring out along the way as it goes and as it changes. Like you guys know, it changes and evolves all the time. I mean, Natalie just got her first freaking card deck, what, a week or two ago? I mean, it's amazing how fast things change and move. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to kind of keep up just like you guys are.
Well, I mean, and it's a lot for you to process, because you've gone from not realizing you had any gifts to 3 months later, you're talking to dead people and doing readings for people you don't know. So it's a bit of a transition.
Right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I do want to talk a little bit about, like we're talking about the creation process, and I just want to include this as part of our podcast or whatever this is going to be, because I think there's a lot of times, like you were saying, Candace, you know, you up and down and in your way and out of your way. And I really want this, and I know we all do, to help people. But the primary reason is like, how much fun can we possibly have? Well, the most fun we could possibly have would be together in person. And we're on like 3 different sides of the globe. So that's not gonna happen soon. Well, it'll happen soon, but it can't happen immediately. So I'm like, what's the second most fun we can have possibly together? Well, let's get on Zoom and let's just start talking, because this is freaking magic and we love it. So let's do that. And a little bit about the creation process in just, it's a different perspective, and it's a perspective of what can we do to have fun. It's not about end result, and it's not about figuring it out, and we don't get in our heads, we get in our feelings. Let me feel into it, right? Like we say, like, oh, let's see what feels right. Let's feel into it and think about this, or let's feel into it and think about that. And anything you guys want to say just about kind of, I don't know, this is a different creation process. And I know, like Natalie, you know, it came from, you know, corporate, and there's a plan, there's a business plan, there's a marketing plan, there's a whatever, there's a, you know, plan for sales and for all of that. And this is none of that. This is like, let intuition just show us, let's get out of our way and just see what's here.
I think like whenever we've got together before, it's like I said, even, you know, one-on-one coaching with Danny, but we've also, as part of the entrepreneurial group we were in, and also Danny's membership group, we get on calls, and just whenever we do, something magical comes out. And I find that the three of us are all really connected in what we're dealing with, but just in different ways. So I feel like what each of us is working on in ourselves is ultimately kind of a similar thing, but just it manifests in a different like situation, or a different fear, or a different, you know, thing you need to release, or all of those things. So I feel like the idea for me behind doing this was, you know, hoping that we can also help other people who are perhaps on this kind of journey, or just like share the wisdom, but also by coming together, it's that accountability to help each other actually live or embody our truth, or our like who we are, our gifts are, you know, and make sure that we're not kind of, it's so easy in life to settle and, you know, take the easy option because, oh, this, you know, I've got a really good, like Candice, I've got a business, it's bringing really good income. Like, do I keep doing that? But ultimately, is it making you happy? And long term, what is that going to look like? So this is about uncovering all the things that really do make us happy, calling each other out on the stuff, you know, because we get in our heads when the head gets in, like actually go, no, Candice, that's it. So no, Danny, you know, like because we know each other well enough to be able to do that, and hopefully kind of shed some light for other people. And so to me, it's kind of about like rising together. So there is no plan because we don't know where the destination is. It's just the experience of the process, which no one ever looks at. No one ever looks at the experience of the process, which is all life. They're trying to get to the destination, you know, like happiness rather than just, and he's doing the hands up.
Yes. I just want to say, like, when we dropped so much stuff, but when you said that, it's like, yes, like, I hope everybody's getting this. Like, yes, thank you.
And in our conversations outside of here, that's really, I think, been the theme through it all, is learning to let go of the plan, the path, the journey, not the journey, the destination, and just be in the moment, in the journey, experiencing it, and being willing to be 100% who you are, true to yourself. And this journey together is a journey that I think that many people walk. And we are taught typically growing up that you need to fit in. You need to, you know, be part of the status quo to be okay. And for the three of us, that's not who we are. And I think that there's many people who feel the same way. And it's finding that way through it all, and having a support system, having friends, having people around you who can help you through it, because that's hard. It's freaking hard to go off the beaten path and make your own way and embrace this whole spiritual side of things, which, I mean, it's becoming more mainstream, but it's still not mainstream. I mean, people still raise their eyebrows and they're like, say what?
Yeah, and I don't know, like, is it becoming more mainstream, or is it just the more that I like, I don't know if it's like, is it becoming more mainstream, or is it just the more that I immerse myself in it, I'm surrounded by the kind of people who are that way. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's both.
I think it's
probably
both.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think that's awesome. So we talked a little bit about the creation process. Thank you, guys. That's awesome. So to continue that theme, then let's talk about a little bit about how I think another unique perspective of this is so often in coaching, and because I'm a coach, and for you guys too, it's like so often what you have is you have a figurehead and they say, look at me, I have your answers, I know the way to go, I've been through where you are now, and I know what's on the other side. A lot of coaching, a lot of business coaching, a lot of like, even like digital marketing, all of it is so much kind of from that perspective. And really what we're coming through here is this is us as it's happening. Like, this is not us sitting on some mountaintop saying, oh, now that we're enlightened beings, we're going to share our thing, right? Like, you guys were so talking about is it's about the journey. And I'll never forget the day I just decided to fall in love with the process. And this was even before the woo woo, but when I was just working with even just the life coach transformational stuff, you know, you get a great inspired idea and every obstacle that needs to be healed comes up to meet you on the path, right? And I decided I'm going to fall in love with the process. Because if you aren't enjoying the journey, you aren't going to like the destination. And it's all freaking journey anyway, right? So I love what you guys were saying, though. So anything about that you guys want to say about, like, you know, like, we're just in it. We're not like sitting up on some pedestal. And I do love that energy too, where it's just like people are going to relate to us as, oh, I'm there, or, oh, that's just the next step. That's where I'm going right now. Or, you know, and we're just kind of all like evolving at the same time together. Anybody?
I think that's it. Cause it's like, it's actually, it is the word evolve, as you said there, like hit me. So it's like, it's more like the evolution. And I don't feel like, you know, yes, there is so much of that, and it's especially online. It's all the, you know, look at me, I've got everything I want, and I'm successful. So follow my prescriptive formula, and you can have the same. Like, that isn't what this is about. That's the exact opposite of what this is about. Because what the process will look like for the three of us, even together, like, will be different, and that's why this is helpful, because we're seeing three very different journeys, three very different processes, yet all leading to the same general theme. Which is, you know, more embodiment of self. So if we are, you know, and the thing is, like, when you reach that supposed destination, so say, for example, Candice, you step into fully owning, you know, your gift, and you ditch your very successful business and do what your heart tells you to do. And Danny, say that's you turning your business into, you know, channeling and helping everyone connect with their dead people. You know, if that, you know, when you get to that point and you've achieved what, you know, you feel that is, you've adapted already through the process. And so potentially where you think that's going to go is different. So I feel like there's no end. It isn't like, oh, now there's success. Oh, now there's happiness. So I think this is just like actual life. This is just the steps. This is not, I say the steps. These are just some steps, not the steps, because it's just some steps that we're taking, and they can feel good or they cannot feel good. And, you know, I just think people can learn from each of us, and we can learn from each other, just because we see something from another perspective. And that's what I've always said, like, that I feel this is about. It's like the power of perspective. So it's like there's the three of us here looking in at something, but all of us see that one thing in the middle very differently.
Oh, I love it so much. Go ahead, Candice.
I was just going to say, and that's exactly it. You know, there's times when I'll say something and you guys, you know, respond in, well, I mean, we talk on this app called Voxer. So we have all of these radio messages going back to each other, which is sometimes very funny. But so I'll say something and I'm seeing it like from a very narrow perspective. And then you both chime in with something completely different. And I'm like mind blown and, you know, ready to embrace it in an entirely different way.
Mm-hmm. I love it so much. I feel like there's a poem here about the full embodiment of self. And I think I've got a few stanzas I'll have to dig out maybe for next time. Like, yeah. But it is just about part of our purpose, and that the full embodiment of ourselves isn't something that we have to like develop or add to or gather in more because we're missing something. It's more a matter of clearing away everything that isn't the authentic self, and whether that clearing away is just old beliefs that don't serve us, or energetic ties to different traumas or different stories that we've believed, or agreements that we've made, or any of that, like just clearing away all the bullshit and getting to the realness, the capital T truth of who we are is kind of like how I picture it, like the capital T. You know how in the Bible, and every time it'll refer to Jesus, it'll have the capital H, right? Like he, you know, it's like the capital T truth. It's like the divine, the soul-centered, the truth of who we are. And, you know, like Candice was saying earlier, I think there are so many of these kind of gifts in so many different people. And I don't know if it's like if it's like the basketball player, if it's like a certain amount of God-given talent or whatever, and then in a certain amount of environment and nurturing, and if you want to develop a gift, like if you're 5'1", well, actually there was a 5'7" pro player, right, who played in Charlotte anyway for a while. But I was going to say, if you're born 5 foot tall, you're not necessarily going to be an NBA star. I don't know if, I know there's pieces of this in everybody, but I don't have any guidance like from source or anything on like, but I know that like for me, I walked through 48 years of my life without realizing any of it, without realizing like a drop of it. So I feel like if it calls to you at all, or if you're curious at all, or if it speaks to you at all, then that's what is the best thing to like pull you forward. And so as we can talk about starting this journey, maybe let's spend a few minutes talking about resistance and trying to push things away versus being pulled towards something, which I feel like this endeavor is. And I feel like all of life and the things that we're doing really, that's kind of the direction that we're going. And so often in life, success coaches even or whatever will talk about push through, make it happen, just do it, hustle, blah, blah, blah. But we're coming again from a different place, from a place of flow, from a place of wanting to be pulled forward. So I don't know if that sparks anything in you guys. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I know that's the case for me. I mean, I spend so much time in my business trying to push forward and push through and hustle, and it's just work. It's just simply work. And, something like this, or even, this morning I woke up, and because for so long, when I'm at the bottom of the hill on the roller coaster and headed back up, it is such a struggle for me to get into any type of routine with meditation or to commit any time to spiritual growth and development. And this morning, I've gotten kind of into the flow and I'm letting it pull me. And this morning I was excited to wake up and meditate. I was like, I wonder what's going to happen this morning. I wonder where it's going to take me this morning, and it's just so different. And the push and the pull. And that's not to say that pushing means that you are doing the wrong thing or going down the wrong path. I think it just means that there has to be another way to either do it or it's not in alignment with you. So like for me with the meditation, pushing and pushing and pushing was because I was resisting to the spiritual side of me because I wasn't ready to embrace it. And so I kept pushing it aside because it was easier to push it aside than it was to embrace it and be it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take on the push-pull.
Mm-hmm. And at some point, did it become harder to push it away or easier to, because it can happen either way, right? Like life will either give you so much resistance to the way that it's been, or it gives you so much of an inspiration to go with the one. I feel like change happens in one of those two ways primarily, or sometimes both. Does that make sense, Candace?
Not really. I mean, it makes sense what you said, but
so you were saying that it was easier to push it away than it was to embrace these gifts. So now you've started to embrace them. So my question kind of just was, what changed?
I don't know. I think that I'm going to need to think about that for a minute and then come back to it, because I think that really goes a little bit deeper than a surface answer.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. All right, Natalie, what do you think, girl?
Okay. So what came up when Candace was talking particularly was to do with the push-pull. So I've noticed how much better business feels, and also not just business, but anything I do really, how much better things feel and how much easier things come to me when I'm more in flow than when I'm trying to push for something. Like it feels better when I've got it. When you push, it's like with anything. I'm trying to think of like an example, but if you pushing someone to like give you something, like when you receive it, like it doesn't feel so good as if like a surprise gift in the mail like feels so much better. So so to me, I always find it like really important to try and stay in flow. Like it's not going to ever be, well, I don't believe, maybe I'm wrong, like which one again? It's not ever going to be like always flow, because I believe there is a time and place for resistance and push. And so resistance can be exactly like that. So I firmly believe there's a lot of the pushing that people do are things because it's not in alignment. But also I feel like sometimes push exists because of its resistance, and it's there to serve a purpose. So it's either there to like show something that needs to come up for healing. So I have an example of that. Or it's there to show, to like really test your commitment to it. So I found sometimes when I've wanted to do things, sometimes it's made difficult, and I'm like, oh, thank you, universe, for testing me to see like if I really want to do this. Because it's just like, are you serious about that? Are you really going to embody this? Do you mean that you want to be this person? Like it's just the universe like throwing, or the mind trying to keep you safe thing, as Danny says. So it's kind of to test your resolve or to show something that needs to come up for healing. And the example that came up to me was when we started talking about doing this, and you both are like really, really clever and amazing healers and intuitives and blah, blah, blah. And I messaged Danny, Candice, you don't know this, I messaged Danny, I was like, I just don't feel good enough. I didn't feel worthy of being part of it because I put what you two do like up on a pedestal, being they're so amazing. I don't have anything to share like as worthy as they do. So I felt like not enough for it, which as soon as I said it, I even said to you, I think, Danny, I was like, I know it's like ego and it's ridiculousness, but that's just showing kind of the resistance. That was me, even though this all felt totally right. It was flow. It's all coming together perfectly, but it was still that resistance for something that I needed to deal with myself, which is my sense of self-worth and the sense of, like people doing it differently. So what like it looks like, what your gifts look like for you, that doesn't mean my gifts are any less, because I can't.
For sure.
But yeah, so that was just something that came up when you were talking.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I love it. Okay, so
hang on before you go on.
Yes,
I just want to say in response to that, I didn't say it to either of you, but I had those same feelings. Like, you guys are such great communicators, and when you talk, it's just so eloquent, and I could listen to you all day, and I'm not good enough to be sitting there talking with you. So I had those same things going on, just in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And then to answer your previous question about what changed, I think it's when I let go of my expectations. So I had expectations for what it was supposed to look like, how I was supposed to feel, how long I was supposed to meditate, all of these things. And even most recently, a conversation that the three of us had, and Danny got some messages from Spirit for me about letting go of the path that I think I need to be on. And it was a real game changer for me, because I have felt called to be of service and to help people. And I felt so tightly tied to that purpose that I had like a desperation about what it needed to look like and who I needed to be. And if I was going to be that person, then I needed to be, at least one step away from enlightenment and all of these things. And when I actually let that go, it just got so easy, and it's been really good. So there's the answer to that.
I love it so much. Thank you, Candice. I love that. And that really is going to speak with so many people out there and really resonate. I feel like, so letting go of expectations. We can do a whole call on that and that power. So if I do have a mantra, it's everything's working perfectly. And as we think about kind of bringing things to conclusion for our first kind of call, and just think about one little topic that I'm really thinking of, is it's all working perfectly. And so sometimes I say that like, oh my God, it's all working perfectly, it's so awesome. Other times I say it like, remember, it's all working perfectly. It's all working perfectly. Sometimes it's more like sarcastic, like, oh, it's all working perfectly.
Yeah.
But I say it as my mantra anyway. So I want us to just, any thoughts about how it's all working perfectly, or how we can ask ourselves, if this is working perfectly, if this is for me, if this is happening for me, then what's the silver lining here? What's the learning here? What's the benefit here? That kind of stuff. And so with this call, with all of it, it's all working perfectly. And I don't know, Candace, does that spur anything in you, or you have any other thoughts that you want to share before we close up?
No, I mean, I can totally, most of the time I can totally relate to the sarcastic, it's all working perfectly. It's difficult to get your head into the frame of mind that things are working perfectly, or that the universe is just testing you when these things pop up. So, after having worked with you, I've tried to make that my mantra also. And more often than not, it's sarcastic. I'll admit it. But it really changes the way that you look at things. And it really allows you to grow in the moment. So when things come up, you're not immediately going to a place of reaction and anger and bitterness and resentment. It's like, okay, so here it is. What do I need to learn from this? And I think that that's a huge part of this journey.
Mm-hmm. I think so too. And thank you for bringing up that perspective of, most of the time it's sarcastic. I think there's just going to be a lot of people who relate. And I think Natalie and I are so used to kind of that perspective that it is happening for a reason and everything. So thank you so much for bringing in just a little bit of that other perspective that other people are going to be able to relate to so much, that of course, like, they're not at all convinced this shit is happening for them. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some work.
Yeah.
But so Natalie, we're just kind of wrapping things up a little bit, and we're talking about kind of the theme of it's all working perfectly. So, and any thoughts that you have on that, or?
Well, let me get in chucked off Zoom by Candace's grandma again. I was like, what am I just going to bring up some channeling? Shut me off for no reason. But yes, so all working perfectly. Yeah, I totally agree with Candace, and I do it a lot. I'm always like, thank you, universe, like, and I don't really mean it, but I do it like, I do in the sense that I know, but like at the time I'm not totally that grateful. Like the gratitude isn't really genuine. But yeah, so it does help though. I do think that perspective of just trying to take time and think like, what is the lesson, what amazing thing could result, as could end up being resulting from this situation, this negative situation, because all of a sudden it's too easy to catastrophize. So like I have been with Mercury retrograde, everything's going wrong, I've spilt my drink, oh my gosh. It's so easy to do that. That wasn't really particularly helpful. Sometimes you go there, and even the people that know, and live that, like, you have the days where you
don't feel it. Yeah. You can know it logically, but you have no desire to embody that.
Yes.
Exactly.
And I want to say that we have to let that be okay too, and embrace that part of ourselves that is cynical, or that is pissed, or that is whatever, and embracing all of our emotions, and all of them have very valid reasons for coming up. So okay, awesome. Do you guys want to say anything in closing? I have a feeling this is going to be part of the edited part. Is all I'm thinking, like, as it's the first time we're kind of officially together doing this, and we're having so much fun, and not really sure how to close, but maybe over time we'll kind of develop a different way.
We have a song. I feel like that would be fun. A closing song. We'll close with a song. I think
we might lose people there if I start singing.
don't even sing in the shower. We're definitely losing people if I sing.
I close every message with song, so that makes sense now. I said that, yeah.
Well, it makes sense. It's going to be you then.
Yeah, no.
Okay. I don't know what better than, than our laughter just there to like close things up. And we're just, learning and developing it as we go and letting it show us what wants to come out and being open. And like what we were just talking about, letting go of any ideas of what we think it needs to be. Just be authentic, see what wants to come out, see how much fun. If we're not belly laughing every time, we're not doing something right.
Exactly.
So far, we're right.
So far, we're good.
So far, we're good. Okay, love you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, love you.
Awesome. Can we call it officially over, you think?
I think
Yeah.
so.